That famous quote that I carry with me, it's not about how hard you hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep getting up, just not get knocked down.
That's the mic drop.
That's it, dude. Hey, I'm Greg Grunberg, and welcome to Talk About It, the podcast where we focus on topics that everybody should be talking about, and hopefully they will be. Not only talking, but screaming about.
Epilepsy shouldn't keep you from doing anything that you want to do.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
While we will continue our focus on epilepsy, of course, we will also look at other health conditions and causes. Our goal is to knock down, drag out, and eliminate stigma and raise awareness. Each episode, you're going to hear from amazing advocates and champions. You will learn, as I will, about how we can all help to make a real difference.
Talking about it is important. It's all about connecting.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
I'm John Mayer.
I'm Jason Bateman. Thank you for talking about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
Talk About It is sponsored by Seizures Are Signs. Seizures Are Signs is dedicated to educating those living with or caring for someone with uncontrolled seizures about the importance of early diagnosis, recognition, and treatment. To learn more, please visit seizuresaresigns.com. Seizures Are Signs is made available by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. All right, so let's jump right into this episode of Talk About It. All right, this episode of Talk About It is really special, and there are two of my favorite people in the world on this episode with me. One is DJ Hapa. He and I have been advocating for the epilepsy community for many, many years. We support each other when we have events, and I just absolutely love the guy. He has epilepsy, and he is a prime example of somebody who has not just not let it stop him from doing anything he wanted to do in his life. It's propelled him to be a better person, to be more active in the community, and to help so many more people. He's so incredibly talented. He's an incredible DJ. I'll talk about that later in the episode. But right now, I'm going to turn the show over to DJ Hapa. I've never done that before. DJ Hapa is going to be more of a host on this episode than I am because he wants to tell Jake's story, my son. I've been talking about Jake forever, and you guys have yet to actually, I think, see him and meet him in a long-form conversation. This one is really special. I hope you enjoy the season premiere episode of Talk About It, where Jake, my son, and I sit down and tell our story to the one person who can understand it and maybe even turn it into a song, DJ Hapa. For the first time, I'm not going to be hosting. I'm not going to be asking the questions. This is all about Jake's story.
Yes.
There's your camera right there, Jake. Say hello to everybody. And I would not entrust this episode into the hands of anyone but DJ Hapa.
Oh, man. That's a big responsibility. And I appreciate it. And it's my honor to be here, honestly. And I'm very excited to get into Jake's story. We've talked a lot. Yeah. You and I have talked a lot.
Well, you've been an episode of Talk About It already.
Yes.
And I've been an episode of Dads.
Yep, A Tribe Called Dad.
Tribe Called Dad, which is a great podcast that you have. But I'm just excited because every time we go out, every time we talk, every time we're doing something at a walk or whatever, you're always there, Jake. Right?
I'm always there.
And you love being there, and you love helping people and whatever. So, but no one's ever really heard your story in your words.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
Is,
yeah. So this is a very exciting episode where we're going to get a chance to hear more about just your overall journey, man, and how you've gone from where this started as a kid, your journey with epilepsy, to now. I mean, dude, you're a second-degree Taekwondo black belt.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you're teaching black belts.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm very excited to be able to jump into it all the way. So
we'd love to get him to second degree in the dating world.
Oh, okay.
We would
is
love
that
that.
what this is turning into?
We would love that.
Is that why I'm here? But yes, I'm happy to get into all of this.
Let's do it.
And talk about your story, man. So where do you feel like this starts for you? What do you want to talk about? Like, how do you want to start this off? Like, this is your story.
My Taekwondo, and then go from there.
Sure. Yeah, let's talk about that. So how did you get into Taekwondo?
We could go back earlier because, I mean, this started when you were 7, Jake.
It did, yeah.
But I don't know how much Jake remembers of that time.
Yeah, so you can fill in some of those gaps, I'm sure.
Yeah, just real briefly. I'll of course, here I am talking and not giving my son an opportunity to talk. I know, sorry, it's the way it works. No, but just because you don't remember, Jake was 7 and he started having staring spells, or he started, zoning out for 5 minutes.
In the car.
Yes, I zoned out in the car. I was looking out the window, and I briefly remember them saying, Jake, are you there? And then I think what you said was, I went to the doctor. You guys took me to the doctor, and he wasn't specialized in epilepsy,
Right.
but he did say, start breathing heavily for me. And that brought on a staring spell.
Yeah,
Was it a staring spell?
It was a staring spell. Yeah, it was interesting because he knew enough that hyperventilation would trigger a seizure. Nothing had really triggered it up to that point, and you did not have any tonic-clonic or big seizures before that.
No.
So it was like, all right, what is he doing? And he's asking Jake to hyperventilate, which we've never asked him to do. And sure enough, it brought on a staring spell with a head bob, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it didn't trigger a tonic-clonic or anything, but that was the first time. And then he's a pediatrician. He's not a neurologist. He's not an epileptologist. So he said, go to a neurologist. I think that could have been a seizure. And that started our journey. And just to, go forward to a point where Jake can speak to it, I think, is during that time, it was really rough. And you were going through puberty. Yes. You were going through all of that stuff. But the moments that I remember as it got better and worse, and the journey of finding the right medication and the right therapy and all that stuff, was it never stopped you from doing anything that you wanted to do. I mean, there were moments, there were so many moments, like what, and I'll ask, because I know, I would drop Jake off at school, and then I would get a text from the school. And when you get a text from a school as a parent, and you know your child has the potential of having seizures, know that's a seizure.
Yeah.
So what was it like for you, first day of school at a new school, to have a seizure on the yard? You haven't even met
What
these
grade
kids.
is this?
Don't remember.
6th grade, 5th grade?
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It was not fun.
Yeah.
I mean, on the first day.
It was the very first day of school. Very first day that you're at that school.
It was, first day, second day, third day. And, it was, like I said, not fun having a seizure.
But the social aspects of it, like, you didn't know a lot of these kids. And
right. So what was that like? What were kids kind? Were they unkind?
They didn't know what to do. So as soon as I fell down, right?
Oh yeah, no, it was a big seizure, and you cut your chin.
Those days
and you were bleeding, and teachers don't touch you. They don't want to touch you. Legally, they don't want to touch you. So I'm getting a call, and I come, and Jake's still on the ground.
Whoa.
Laying in a pool of
if I
blood.
can cut you off for a second.
Yeah.
Cut
me off.
Cut me off.
Jake Grunberg.
Wow.
Let's get it.
Yes.
Welcome to Dad. Shut up about it.
If I can cut you off again. The kids didn't know what to do. And the teachers sure didn't know what to do either, because I didn't tell them I had epilepsy. And
do you remember what was happening later on that day, the first day?
No, I don't remember.
So we take Jake to the hospital. They stitch him up on his chin. He's bruised on his face.
That's right.
Later on that day, what do we have scheduled?
Photo shoot.
No.
Photo shoot.
No, we had an in-service with all the teachers already set up, and we were going to tell them all what to do in case you see someone have a seizure.
Wow.
So all the teachers were coming into a room. How many of them would have shown up had Jake not had a seizure? Who knows? It was packed.
Yeah.
And this is one of those resilient moments that you don't remember because you were fine, thank God. But I remember being home and saying, "Okay, Jake, I'm going to go to the school," and Jake goes, "I'm coming with you." And I'm like, "Dude, you look like you just got into a fight." And you insisted. Do you remember that? Honestly,
I do not remember. No.
Okay, because it was so telling. And it was one of those first examples that Elizabeth and I thought, wow, I mean, what? And I'm going to take credit for it. Elizabeth and I are taking credit. We must do something right where we just don't give a crap what other people think. And that's something that I'm sure you've experienced.
Yeah.
But you went with me. We went back and we told all the teachers what to do in case you see someone have a seizure. And we said, so it happened. And look.
And he's fine.
He's fine.
Right.
So that began that sort of milestone moment where, and it happened in baseball. It happened here and there where Jake just doesn't give up. He never gives up.
That baseball one was
Tell him
what's
briefly.
what's the baseball one?
I think it was bases loaded at practice. I'm up and I clock one, bring in, all three.
Wow.
Make it the third. Again, hyperventilating.
Yeah.
And wave into the crowd or whoever's there, the parents, and fall down, have a seizure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Big one. I remember going home and I think I peed in my pants.
Yeah, he so that happens, right? Because he lost control
Sure,
of his,
yeah.
and we picked him up, and we were like, it's okay, and that's where I was there, right?
Right.
We were there, and took him home. Home was close. Our field is close. On the drive home, Jake doesn't say anything, but he's not postictal. He's just we thought, oh man. And as parents, you're like, okay, who's going to deal with this? You or me? We get to the house, we pull into the driveway, we park, and we look at each other, and before we can do anything, Jake gets out of the car, slams the door, and runs into the house. And we think, okay, we thought we were like super pissed off and upset. Before we get to the house, and we don't have a long driveway. It's not like the big one. Jake has already grabbed another pair of baseball pants.
He's ready to go back out there.
We're going back out there. Now, that wasn't the two of us. Mom and I, we did not decide you're going back. This was all you. We looked at each other like, what is going on? So this, again, another moment where Jake was like, okay, whatever, I had a seizure. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you're hosting.
No. But I think it's the same question that I have.
Forget about Hapa.
But yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, you're doing a lousy job.
Yeah. I'm fired. Go ahead.
Controlling the subject.
Yeah.
But
Who needs him?
Exactly. No, but Jake, my question to you is it because, and man, honestly, give me an answer.
Yeah.
Is it because you didn't know any better? A lot of kids grow up and that's just, this is all I know, so this is my life. Or were there moments at that time where you said, no, you know what, I'm not going to let this stop me? Or it was just like, let's go. I'm supposed to be playing baseball.
Honestly, I just don't want to either let my friends hanging on the team or I just want to finish what I started.
Talk about that a little bit more. Like this I want to finish what I started, because I feel like there's also a line there with like your pursuit of Taekwondo as well. And so talk a little bit about that.
About the Taekwondo.
And just this mentality of like, where does that come from? I got to finish what I've started.
I honestly don't know where it comes from. I feel like everything I do, I need to finish. I can't just quit. I can't just leave it hanging. I have to finish. I can't just get my red belt. I have to go all the way. I have to get my black belt. And I can't just quit at first degree black. I have to get second. I have to get third eventually. Eventually, I have to get fourth. I just have to keep going and not quit.
Have to get a girlfriend.
And I get a girlfriend.
Can I say like I'm having, like, I literally got chills listening to you just say that, because as a dad, it's the most proud thing I can possibly hear. I mean, you guys have both lived 9 lives. I mean, you've overcome so many things, and all I can do is hope that my son, who's dealing with this, that's his attitude. Yeah. Who instilled that in you? Briefly, I just want to know, like, quickly.
Epilepsy. I mean, like, I think like there's a lot of, I talk about epilepsy being this great teacher for me, and like I've learned a lot through this and this process. And I think like when you're faced with adversity, you're literally at that crossroad. And like back to the baseball game, going back home, and it's like you have a decision to make in that moment. Like you can say, all right, I'm throwing in the towel, I give up, life sucks, this sucks that this happened to me, woe is me, this is horrible. And you're entitled to, like, it's horrible, it sucks. But you can also go the other way and be like, you know what? I got to get back out there. I just hit a triple. I got to get back out there and finish what I started. And I think like that's amazing.
So before we answer any more questions or anything, let's take a break. Yes. We'll be right back because I want to hear your response to that and so much more about your journey.
Yes. Coming up on Talk About It.
Hello, it's the guy who does not want to be treated any different. Is it scary to see a seizure? Yes. Do I take medications? Yes. Everyone's got something. If you say you don't have anything, you're lying.
This guy, DJ Hapa, my good friend, yes, he's a great advocate. We work together all the time, trying to remove stigma and inform people about epilepsy and bring the community together. Yes. But he is a legit DJ, like one of the best in the world. He's been a DJ and one of the most popular for many, many years. DJ Hapa has worked with Formula One, Ducati, Ferrari, Microsoft, ESPN, Lululemon, the Grammys. I mean, he is legit. He's so good. He's incredible. And he's now considered like the DJ coach. He's teaching people all over the world how to be or bring out their inner DJ, how to become a DJ. And he's just so giving. He's so incredibly talented. Just wanted to let you know this dude is legit. Check him out. Go to hapaworld.com, HAPA world.com for more and all things on the incredible DJ and my good friend, DJ Hapa. All right, back to the interview.
It's hard to tell whether this is like a chicken or egg situation, right? Like what came first? Did your resilience come first and this idea of like, I just can't quit? Was that like predetermined in you somewhere? Or is it something that you've learned and that you've become accustomed to in terms of all of these challenges that have been thrown your way? Because out of the hundreds or thousands of seizures that you've had and all of the adversity that you've gone through, you're here, man, and you're thriving, you know what I'm saying? And like, there's a lot that you've had to overcome, and it's hard to say. Like, what do you think came first? Do you think that you are predisposed inside of you to have this don't quit attitude, or did the epilepsy help shape that? Is it a combination of both?
I think the epilepsy helped in a way for me to say to myself, I can't quit. I got to keep going. Mm-hmm. I can't let this stop me.
Yeah.
Because you can't control that. That's something that we've also talked about is like, you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake controls a lot of that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not driving, but you don't even care. It's like, you know, it is what it is. You know,
Yeah.
Traffic sucks.
Yeah, I'd rather be in the back of a car too. You know, like I'd rather not be at the wheel for sure. You know, I guess when it comes to the control side of it, is it in those moments where you get frustrated? Because it happens. We all get frustrated.
It really just, yeah.
Yeah. Talk us through that a little bit. Like, what does that look like when you get frustrated like that, and how do you change your perspective in those moments?
I mean, it gets frustrating because some of my friends that I know that have seizures, they have it under control and they're driving. So it gets frustrating when it comes to that.
So besides driving, but I see you get frustrated other times and you handle it so gracefully. So what else frustrates you?
The fact that I have to take a lot of meds morning and night, and that my brothers don't need to, but they're also my rocks. They help me in enormous ways that I can't even begin to say. They'll say, if I have a seizure upstairs, they'll say to my dad downstairs, "Seizure! Seizure!" And my parents will come running up.
So your brothers, you being the oldest, there's a lot. I'm the oldest as well, and I know there's like responsibilities. There's certain things that sort of are on your mind. What are some of the things that maybe like go through your mind as being the oldest sibling in your family?
And also too, I'll add on to that is that you are the oldest, and you have the most struggles when it comes to something like this. Thank God our other boys don't have any kind of a condition like this, but they look up to you despite the fact that they don't have to deal with some of the things that, you know, the medication side effects and all that stuff, how it affects your learning and all that. Talk to that, because how is it carrying that burden of being that guy? It's sometimes, I know that song Superman is something that means a lot to you because you don't want to be looked at as a Superman, yet a lot of people look up to you. How does that feel?
It definitely has an effect on me that I'm older and things do come easier for them. It can be, I guess, a lot of work. But to me, since I've been doing this all my life, I don't want to say it's easy, because it's not at all. But I guess it comes a bit easier for me since I've been doing it for a long time.
It kind of speaks to what I was saying about this is all you know, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It really is all I know.
Yeah.
And are there things that concern you? Like, are there things that like weigh on you that you worry about or that you're anxious about?
How do you see the future for yourself?
In the future, I see myself with a girlfriend
Yeah.
that hopefully understands my condition
Absolutely.
and can help me out with it eventually. Big promotion. But there are a lot of unknowns that I don't think I have the answer to yet.
Yeah, I think, and we actually have talked about this in the past too, and I think like the attitude that you've shared with me that's been really helpful, and I want to see if you would agree with this, is sort of this idea of living in the moment and really being focused on the present. And I feel like this is a part of the gift of something like epilepsy as well, which is this idea of I can't get so caught up in what's going to happen in 10 years or in 20 years or in freaking...
I totally agree.
Do you agree with that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What is that like to live a life where you're focused really on the present, where the majority of your focus is on the present? What is that like?
I try to enjoy it every chance I get when I'm living in the moment. And if I can't, I'll make the most of it.
You know what's interesting is any and all opportunities that come up, Jake is always saying yes.
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's the best ever. I'm like,
that's why he's here right now.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, do you want to do this? Yes.
I know, but it's more than that. It's like, hey, we have an opportunity to travel across the country to do something, or our buddy Nick is playing a concert or whatever. Jake's like, let's go, and it is that live in the moment type attitude where I will be like, I'm tired. I don't want to think. You're like, I don't know if you're thinking, I just want to take advantage of everything that's in front of me. But it's a great thing. That's I learned from you when it comes to that.
I mean, I think I say yes a lot because who knows if I'm going to get this chance to see Nick perform at this venue again.
Right.
Yeah, because this could be it's always right there. Nick's career could end.
Yes.
Yes, I'm
Right,
sure.
Nick? I mean,
I'm sure I'm gonna.
I'm talking about in life, though. In life, just in general, you're just so positive about so many things, and you are as well. And it's this. You use the word gift, and I hate to say you guys are grateful for the fact that you have epilepsy, but it has really informed your lives. And
100%. Do you feel that way? Do you feel that like this? I mean, yes, it sucks. There's a lot of things that suck about this. But do you also see the gift in this?
Yeah, I do. There's definitely a gift in it. I unfortunately can see the part that sucks more. But there is definitely a gift.
Yeah.
In having epilepsy.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, man. Like that mentality, and I share that same mentality with you. And it's weird. Let me ask you about this. Is that the saying yes part? Is there any fear in the saying yes part?
For me?
Yeah, for you.
No.
Right.
There is honestly no fear.
Yeah, it's so crazy because I feel the same way. Like it's not this like I'm scared that I'm gonna miss out or like I'm scared. Like, I mean, I don't want to be morbid, but like, are you scared of death at all?
Sometimes yes, sometimes I could be scared of death, sometimes no.
Yeah.
Hopefully that doesn't happen anytime soon.
Yeah, it won't.
Oh, no.
It won't.
No,
absolutely
Hey, I have
not.
a question about, I think the saying yes to things and being so positive, and both of you can answer this, it's a control thing. Because you have the control over whether you can
say yes or
no, whether you can stay home with your head in the sand, whether you can actually be proactive and say, I'm going to do this, as opposed to waking up from a seizure and going, what the hell just happened? That's out of your control.
Right.
This is something, honestly, tell me, is that part of it?
Going back to the beginning of the interview when you were asking me about either quitting or going the opposite direction, it very much reflects back to that. And I honestly just say yes most of the time.
Yeah. Like you literally see those two doors, right?
I
Like
do.
you literally see those two doors in that moment.
I can picture those two doors, yes.
Yeah.
And I always go in the yes.
Yeah, and that to me is a part of the gift. 100%.
It really is.
Yeah.
And now there are moments when it's Jake, your room looks like a hurricane went through it. I need you to clean your room, and there is a yes and a no door, and there are moments when you go through that no door. I'll just throw that out there
because there's a better yes door somewhere else.
That's in a different room.
Yeah,
that's in a totally different room.
It's in a different house. This is in a different house. Yeah,
you're right. That's when the door to your room says no on it.
Right.
It's not going
that's
in
when there's one door.
Yes.
That says no.
Coming up on Talk About It.
I do remember the people in the ER looking at me with a look that says, "We don't know if your son's going to make it."
What did that feel like? Because I'm literally here, like on the brink of tears right now.
You're just trying to convince yourself that this is not happening right now. So we here at Talk About It never sit still. We have talkaboutit.org, the website, where we're trying to remove stigma and inform people and give people a place where they can feel like they're not alone. And we think we're doing okay, but we're constantly evolving. We've got this, the Talk About It podcast, and now it's on video as well as audio, and we're so proud of it. So happy to be able to bring so many amazing people in the epilepsy community together to talk about it. That it keeps changing, but hopefully it benefits all of us. Now, we are launching something new called talkaboutitonvideo.com. Go to talkaboutitonvideo.com. You'll see all the messages that we've accumulated over the years, all the famous faces, all the incredible doctors and nurse practitioners and patients, people just like you talking about it. But not only that, we're now encouraging people to vent about it. Just talk about whatever it is that frustrates you or answer the questions that, man, you wish people would ask you about your epilepsy or your condition or your loved one or whatever. And we're kicking this off with Jake, my son, our son, who is living well with epilepsy, but he gets frustrated just like everyone else. He has good days and bad days, and he put together a little montage of questions that he gets asked on a regular basis, or wishes he gets asked on a regular basis. It's pretty great. It's a great way to kick off. Talk about it on video.com, and here it is.
Yes, I have epilepsy, but epilepsy doesn't have me. A lot of people have it, just like me. Get over it. Epilepsy. Epilepsy. It's not hard to say. It's just a word. Epilepsy. A lot of people mispronounce it. How hard is that? Epilepsy. Everyone gets it wrong. No, I don't drive. Stop asking me. I don't ask if you drive. Is it scary to see a seizure? Yes. Do I take medications? Yes. Everyone's got something. If you say you don't have anything, you're lying. Hello, it's the guy who does not want to be treated any different. No, I did not forget to take my medication. They don't get it. Don't feel sorry for me. Should you feel sorry for me? No. Am I single? Yes. Can we be friends if you don't understand me? No. What does it feel like to have a seizure? How am I supposed to know? I'm the one having it.
I want to talk to you more about the Taekwondo thing.
Yes.
Because I think this to me, I can tell with you, this is something that you're passionate about. Like you're super passionate about Taekwondo. Mm-hmm. You started Taekwondo at a fairly young age. You picked it up. You took some time off from it, like with all of the medical stuff that was going on, and then you came back to it. Talk a little bit about that time off and the decision to come back to Taekwondo. Do you remember that time?
I do, yes.
Yeah.
So I was having brain surgery. I think it was my second brain surgery.
It was.
Yeah. So when I was a red double stripe, that's when I was having my brain surgery, and I took, I think, a year or two off. And after that year or two, I decided, you know what? I got to get my black belt. I have to get it. Went back. I remember my master seeing me at the door, giving me a huge hug. Mm-hmm. And from that day forth, I had been teaching as a black belt. That first test as a black belt, getting my black belt, was fairly hard. I surprisingly I passed.
Wow!
Right.
With the first time through,
half a mistake. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only half a mistake.
Wow.
And by the way, shout out to Master Simon Rhee.
Master Rhee,
who is family. I mean, this is
shout out to Mr. Peter.
Yeah, Mr. Peter. But it's finding some group finding something that you believe in.
That's right.
That others believe in as well, and give you and lift you up. Sports does that, but there are a lot of individual sports, and you would look at Taekwondo and say that's an individual sport, but it is such a team sport.
Yep.
I've never seen anything like this. You went through brain surgery, Jake. Your mom and I, Elizabeth and I we were thinking, okay, well, he's gone as far as he's going to go with Taekwondo. I mean, brain surgery.
Right.
That wasn't even a thought in your head.
No, not at all.
Well, so okay, let's talk about that part. So you're a second stripe. Forgive me if I get this wrong. You're a second stripe red belt, right?
Yes.
And then the next step is black belt.
Yeah.
And so you were somewhat forced to take that time off, right? Because of the brain surgery.
Yes.
And what prompted that break? Like, what prompted that second brain surgery? Because I don't think that was necessarily a part of the plan.
No, the first brain surgery was they saw something in his brain that they can remove.
And that was planned.
Yeah, that was planned, and that was something that we all made a choice. The second time was,
God.
So Jake was at school, and he's hanging out with his buddies on the stairs, standing up, cement stairs.
First stair.
Whatever stairs.
Whatever
stairs
stair
or stairs, dude.
Whatever stair.
And I don't recommend anybody with epilepsy ever hanging out on stairs. And if you're going to hang out with your friends and you know there's a chance you have a seizure, sit down. So that the fall is very short.
Yeah, right. Nice grassy field.
Exactly.
Yes. Hang out on the grass.
This moment, you and Tony were hanging out, his buddy, who also has epilepsy, by the way.
Oh.
And he was living well with it and doing fine. They're hanging out on these stairs, and Jake has a seizure, and they didn't catch him in time, and he fell back on the stairs, but not, if you fall back to the ground, there's that. It's falling back more than level to the ground, and he's cracked the back of his head here. And,
I didn't crack it.
Oh, okay. What happened?
What
do you call it?
I hit my head.
Thanks.
It was very, very hard.
Yes, it was a crack. Anyway, it did so much damage inside that it popped a blood vessel on this side of his brain, and there was internal bleeding. And so we didn't know that, but getting to the end of the story was Jake was at the hospital, and they had to open him up and relieve that pressure
In that moment.
or he would have died. That if you have
Do you remember this at all?
I do. I do remember going to the pediatrician after my mom picked me up, and I remember the pediatrician saying, "You're fine. You're sharp. Just keep him." He said, "Keep him home." He probably has a concussion.
Yeah, but you were more than sharp. I don't know if you've experienced this after a seizure. Sometimes because it's the brain. I called the doctor. I was at work, and the doctor said, "Yeah, he's like really funny right now. Like he was really sharp and really funny." That can be a warning sign too. Overactivity, overstimulation in the brain, being really on.
You knew something wasn't right. You had an instinct that something wasn't right.
But at that moment, we were just so happy that he hit his head and he's fine.
Right. He's talking. He's not laid out.
Yeah.
But they didn't do a scan, and there was internal bleeding. And later, one eye was dilated this way, one was this way, which means your brain stem is being affected or could be affected. And if that happens, you stop breathing and you die. So by the time I got home, ambulance, you were out of it. Jake was out of it, and they rushed him to the hospital.
You don't remember that part?
No, this part I don't remember.
I do remember the people in the ER looking at me with a look that says, "We don't know if your son's going to make it." I've never seen that before ever, and I didn't. And they were what happened was they were waiting. They didn't have a surgical neurologist to go in. It wasn't at the hospital. That person was somewhere else. They had to have a highway patrol escort because they were stuck in traffic. Get him to the hospital. We're all sitting there waiting. I was the one that said, "Shave his head like Hapa and let's prep him." No, I literally said, "Shave his head, get him ready." Get him ready because we're going to open him. You have to, and they were like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, on it. And then later, somebody said, "I thought you were a doctor because you were just ordering us around."
No, I just play one on TV.
Exactly. But I said, I told them, "Get him ready." Doctor came in. They opened Jake up, and boom, he was fine, or not fine. But that was a struggle.
What did that feel like?
As a parent?
Yeah. Because I'm literally here, like on the brink of tears right now, like listening to you say this.
It was so shocking and abrupt, and maybe this is where you get your positivity. But Elizabeth and I were standing in the waiting area, and we were just looking at each other, like, just kind of like this smile of like, it's gonna be okay. Like you're just trying to convince yourself that this is not happening right now. I'll just tell you that at the end of Jake's recovery, we got invited to something called a save. Yeah. Hospitals do this, where usually it's when they bring somebody back from the dead. There was a woman who got into a car accident when she was 90 years old. They only honored 2 saves. A woman who was 90 years old whose heart stopped for 4 minutes, and they brought her back, and Jake. And it wasn't till that moment, that's months later, that we're at this we're at this luncheon that we're looking at each other going, was it that serious? Like we couldn't believe it. I mean, your recovery, like, talk about, he was about to test to be, it's Taekwondo, he was about to test, and he had to learn how to walk again. He had to learn how to, physically, it was, and thank God he was young, it was brutal, absolutely brutal. And thank God the doctors, they were just incredible. And the recovery was, and your strength, I don't know where you get it, but it was one of the biggest lessons that I, learned, which is, nothing's going to keep this guy down.
Nothing's impossible.
Nothing's impossible.
Do you remember this moment of having to relearn to walk and going through that process of rehabilitation?
I remember the rehab. Yes, I remember they had 2 poles, and I just slowly had to walk.
You came through that physical stuff very quickly. But,
yeah, I did that very quickly.
But it was like what? What do you mean? Like, he hit his head.
Right.
But it was his brain was it was like a massive reset of a computer. It was like, we have to get him to where he was again. And we're talking about a number of weeks, but
3-4 weeks.
I think it was 3 or 4
Wow,
weeks.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And then to go from that to, all right, I'm going to test for my black belt.
Yeah, right. That's it. Were there things that you, at the time that you were testing for the black belt, were there things that you felt like, I can't do this the same way that I did before? Or was there anything that was different?
I mean, I did take lots of classes before I tested, and there are these things called private lessons where it's a one-on-one.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I took a lot of those.
Was there any doubt, though?
In my mind, there was no doubt that I was not going to get my black belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No
know.
doubt.
And what about you, though? Was there ever
amazing.
doubt in your life where you're like, you know what, I can't do this. I can't DJ for thousands of people because of the flashing lights and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah. No. I mean, it's just this really bizarre, confidence pocket. Like, I can't even really fully describe it, but when you reach the edge of what you're capable of, then there's freedom. There's freedom that comes from that when you're like, okay, I can't do this, but I can do this, and I can do this, and cool, I can work with these things that I do have. And it's almost like the things that you're restricted by, interesting enough, I feel like, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but for me, the things that I'm restricted by actually are what produce the freedom. And, the fact that even right now, I know it's got to be, sometimes frustrating that you can't drive, but it also produces freedom in a lot of ways, in a real literal sense, that not everybody else gets a chance to experience because there are still these unknowns. But for you, you sort of have this all right, yeah, that's where the line is. And you're able to kind of push through that, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was shocked that I passed my first time.
do you think, Jake, that you had to be more prepared? Because I have to say, when you they don't care. Once you get there and you're testing for your black belt,
right.
It's not like, all right, we're going to put an asterisk next to this guy,
right?
Because he went through
right.
Some situation or whatever. No, you're out there. You better perform the way any other black belt's going to perform. You got to earn it.
Right.
Did you overly prepare, do you think, or prepared more than you normally would have because you went through such a struggle?
Yes. I think I made sure I was 150% prepared.
Coming up on Talk About It.
Would you, too, prefer to walk into a room where no one knows you have epilepsy?
Here's the thing. I want people to know.
Yeah.
So in case I do have a seizure, they know what to do. But I don't want people to treat me differently.
For it to just be a normal thing.
Exactly.
Digging through the archives came up with a blast from the past, a real proud dad moment for me when I asked my boys how they feel when other people treat their brother, Jake, differently because he has epilepsy.
I mean, obviously they care, but like, he's a normal person. He's not different. He's just has epilepsy.
How's your brother doing? Oh, he's doing great. He's working. He's and they go, no, how's his epilepsy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah.
Because that's not the only thing about him. You know?
These boys must have the best parents ever, or at least the best mom ever. They're still talking about it today.
What did that mean for you? Like, because it feels like there's like something more than just the black belt, like that, and it is, right? Like that, you know, I think for you in your journey, that black belt is much different, I feel like, for you than it is for the person that didn't take that break, didn't have brain surgery and all of that. So what did that mean for you, that black belt?
It felt so good, but the black belt didn't really matter. Didn't really matter that I got it. It really, for me, it mattered that I accomplished this very hard thing that not a lot of people can accomplish.
Yeah.
And it was harder even for you.
Yeah.
Yes, it was harder for me.
That's really well said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true.
And it's this, like, you know, not going to quit. You finished what you started. Like, that was this whole thing of, like, this is what you started, and now this is you finishing what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
Without any excuses, right? Like,
no excuses.
No excuses. Yeah.
None.
So what do you have? What would you say to somebody who's listening to this right now, who is thinking about taking on something? They're thinking about going back and getting their master's. They're thinking about going back to school. They're thinking about walking back into school after they just had a seizure, like you did. What do you say? Just give me the words. I'm on the phone with you, and I've struggled, and I'm like, Jake, should I do this? What should I do?
I would say absolutely go for it. I don't care what it is. Nothing's impossible. But also I would tell them, don't let your friends say to you, this is impossible, you'll never do it, you'll never get it. And just believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Believe that you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there somebody in your life that you can think of that told you at one point in time, you can't do this?
I'm sitting right here, dude. I mean, like, that's just that's a loaded question.
Sorry. Had to do it.
No.
We need some drama here. We need some.
Yeah, but no, that's a great question.
Yeah. Like, I'll give you mine. So my original neurologist, I was 17, had already been accepted to school at UCLA. My neurologist says to me, you know, somebody with your condition, at this state in your condition, I think we need to rethink college altogether, let alone, like, moving from San Francisco to LA.
Wow.
Yeah. And that became this, like, for me, like, she became this villain that, like, I pinned up against the wall and was like, I'm going to show you, you know, and it became motivating to some degree to me. Is there anybody that comes to mind like that for you, or any instance like that?
There surprisingly is not. No, I think I say to myself, I don't say to myself that I can't do it. I think in a way, I say to myself, you can't do it, but try and try again, and you'll eventually accomplish it.
Or a version of it. I think that's so smart and so wise. It's interesting because I've asked Jake as a parent. We've asked you a number of times. Did you get bullied?
Right.
Were there people,
right?
You know, and we're talking about something different, right? Friends at school or people. I mean, there was a kid who jumped Jake at school once, and Jake kicked his ass because Taekwondo kicked in. We don't have to tell that story, but it happened.
Let's not tell that story.
You know, but it happened when Jake was very young, and but at the same time. There hasn't been, and we haven't shielded you. It's not like you live in a bubble, but at the same time, you have been very fortunate. You've had a lot of people that have been positive, that have been, you know, a positive influence, and you know, obviously your family. We all believe in you, and you've shown us more resilience, and you know, you motivate us.
Hopefully.
Well, you do. You actually do. But I think you're very lucky. There are a lot of people out there that's not the case.
Yeah.
You know, and we're looking. So if there's somebody out there that can give Jake a chip on his shoulder, this is what we're looking for.
I don't know. You don't want to mess with a second-degree black belt. I mean, this is the problem now. It's like
that's true.
He's untouchable right now.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if we're talking about like even the current situation, right? You are a success story, you know, and this is now, you've now gone and not only have you gotten your black belt, your second degree black belt, but now you're teaching people. What's that like?
Teaching pretty much all ages. That is, it's frustrating.
Okay.
It's fun.
Yep.
When you see them succeed, it really makes you feel good because you know that you had a part in doing that.
Do the kids that you teach and the adults that you teach, do they know about your journey, Jake? Because it's been so many years. It's not like everybody was there when you were, you know, testing for your black after coming back from brain surgery and all that.
Right.
Do you let them know about this, or it's just like, nope, that's Master Jake. He knows what he's doing.
Not everyone does know about it.
Do you wish that nobody knew that story? Like, do you feel like that takes anything away from it in any which way?
I mean, I don't want everyone to know. So I get I guess the best word would be credit. So I would say not really.
Do you feel like people treat you differently than they would somebody else?
It's a great question. Like, would you two prefer to walk into a room where no one knows you have epilepsy, or would you prefer to walk into a room where people know what you've gone through, how you've overcome it?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I want people to know.
Yeah.
So in case I do have a seizure, they know what to do. But I don't want people to, in the way, know where they treat me differently. Like, oh, Jake, are you okay? Like this. That kind of, you know.
Yeah, for it to just be a normal thing.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, but the three of us tend to talk about this a lot. Hence the name of the show, being proud of it, not hiding it, and encouraging others to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's a double-edged sword, or it's a fine line between talking about it and not letting it define you.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think that, like, I don't want people to treat me differently. At the same time, I do think, though, that, like, your story in particular, like your story of resilience and just like how strong you are, just adds a whole other layer and says so much about you. Like, I think, like, I don't think that epilepsy defines you in any which way, but I do think that it's helped shape you into who you are today. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Honestly, I think epilepsy actually, in a way, helped me get my black belt, helped me achieve all these goals. I think it challenged me, and epilepsy said to me, don't stop, don't quit, you can do this. I think epilepsy is my motivation.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you drop a mic that's attached to a stand?
That was it.
That is a mic drop right there, dude. I'm so proud of you. I love you so much. When you, honestly, it's like that. You just put it so eloquent into words. Like,
what's the reaction to him saying that? And I mean,
it's something. There's two sides to it for me as a father. I'm very proud of the way that he's taking ownership in this and using. Look, we all get dealt these cards. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna fold? Or are you going to play your hand? And Jake is playing his hand, and he's winning more times than he's losing.
Right.
And I will bet on Jake's hand 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I'm just so proud of him for it. You know, I really am, Jake. That's, we're going to Vegas, Rain, man. We're going to make some money. I know. I'm really, really proud of the adult that you've turned out to be, and I look at this super bright future for you, and I'm just so proud of you. And we have so many unknowns.
We have a lot.
We do.
We do.
You know, I asked you about the future. Me looking at the future, I just see this incredible future because I know how people react to you, and I know how the world reacts to both of you. And it's like, somebody walks into a room and they're not well defined, and they're like, okay. You are very well defined. You are very well defined. People look at you and they go, oh, well, he's done this and this and this and this. A lot of people don't have that. Right. And I know there's a struggle that comes with it, but as a dad, to see that this is what you've done with your situation makes me really proud.
Yeah, I also want to, relay the fact that your resilience and your choices that you've made, while epilepsy has helped be this motivation for you or has helped push you in that way, I do think that this is something that, like, you were built for. and that you rose to actually meet that. And I think that you're inspiring people beyond people who have epilepsy or anything like that. I mean, I think anybody who has an ear to listen to this and to listen to your story understands and is motivated by your story and all of the resiliency that you've had, man. So, I mean, I know I am. I'm sitting here pumped up. Let's go do something.
I know, exactly. Let me just end this with a quote. What is that line from Rocky? I'm not going to do it justice. What's that great line?
That famous quote that I love and I will carry with me. It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Dude,
just not get knocked down. Keep getting up, and you will be successful.
That's the mic drop.
That's it, dude. Thanks
awesome.
for hosting this episode.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Jake, thanks for agreeing to get up and take a shower this morning and come in here.
Yes,
absolutely.
Jake was up before any of. I was like, "We're gonna do an episode of Talk About It about you," and he was like, "Let's go." I said, "Hapa's gonna interview you."
Love it.
I'm in.
Love it.
We love you, dude.
Yeah, I love you guys, and thanks for having me. And I know that girl's out there, man. She's listening to this right now.
Yes, she is.
You're getting a phone call pretty soon here.
All right. Well, that ends this episode of Talk About It, Jake's story, or some of it. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching. And we'll have more incredible stories. I won't cry in every episode, but this definitely made me tear up. Love you, dude.
Love you too, Dad.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of Talk About It. Remember, we're all human. We're all dealing with something, and a little compassion every day can change so many lives. Thank you to our special guests. Special thanks to our sponsor, SeizuresAreSigns.com. Thank you to JJ Abrams for our theme music. Thank you to Nick Marzak for producing, directing, editing, and incidental music. On behalf of my fellow producers, Phil Gattone, Ken Lohenberg, and Nick Marzak, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And if you're not watching, go to talkaboutitonvideo.com to watch these episodes. They're now on video as well. I'm Greg Grunberg. Don't forget to talk about it, and I will see you next time. This podcast is a production of the Talk About It Company.